Good morning, beautiful people. I'm here because we have an urgent situation with our children in Chicago and our black leaders in Chicago public schools. This past year, Chicago public schools officials removed 6 black principals. We have a thing we call, in America, innocent until proven guilty. And there's systems that they put in place to make the system have to prove that you're guilty. Those systems are called due process. You have a process to prove that you're guilty. Y'all heard of Brittany Griner, the sister, the WNBA player that got detained in Russia and put in a Russian jail? Brittany Griner got more due process from Russia under Vladimir Putin than these principals got from Chicago public schools under Pedro Martinez. And we have one of them here with us today. And since he's here with us today, I'm going to say a little bit about him. He was removed from his position at Lindblom Math and Science Academy. He has transformed school cultures everywhere he has gone, from CVS to Douglas High School. He was even an assistant principal at the juvenile detention facility where the students are locked up. Before he got to that facility, they couldn't bring the students together because they were in different gangs. After Mr. Muhammad came in there and built relationships, they could bring them together for the first time in the history of that facility, because he understood how to relate to our young brothers. And he loved them so much. Listen to this. I want to tell you this story about him, and then I'll give it to him. He came in the Nancy B. Jefferson, that's the name of the school for the juvenile detention facility. He came into Nancy B. Jefferson and went right after, he built all those relationships, and he was a couple of months from leaving, but he saw the play Hamilton. Who's seen the play Hamilton? It's one of the most magnificent pieces of art you will ever see, inspiring. He saw that play and he said, I want my students to see this play. Now, his students are locked up, so they can't go see a play. And so he contacted the producers of the play Hamilton and said, can you bring this play to my students? And he worked for almost 2 years with all the logistics to get them to bring this Broadway play to a juvenile detention facility. That's how much he loved those students. And he left Nancy B. Jefferson and went on to another school, but kept working for those students to bring that play there. And finally, 2 years later, they brought the play Hamilton to Nancy B. Jefferson. And let me tell you this. The producer of the play told him, he said, you know, we've only left the stage twice in our history. The first time, and before Abdul Muhammad, the only time they ever left the stage was to play for Barack and Michelle Obama at the White House. And the second and only time up to that point they had left the stage was for the students who were locked up at Nancy B. Jefferson. That is the power of this man. That is the power, that is the love that he showed for those students. The only other power that was able to pull that play off stage was the White House, the President of the United States. And this man loved those students so much, he equaled that power for them. These are the kind of men and women that we need in front of our students. We keep saying, well, what are we going to do? These students are acting up and they're doing all this. Well, what are we going to do? Here's the answer right here. And the other black men like him, like Gerald Morrow from Dunbar. I wish I had time to talk about him, but he was equally transformational at Dunbar. And they removed him. And so what we want is not only for Gerald and for Abdul and the other principals to be given their positions back, but for the people who did this to them, who told those 83 lies, who ignored the fact that those were lies, to be removed from their positions so they don't have any authority over the education of black students ever again. And if it were up to me, I'd go even farther and make this man the CEO of Chicago Public Schools, because that's the kind of passion we need for our leadership of our school system. And so without further ado, brothers and sisters, I want to introduce to you the man of the moment right now, Mr. Abdul Muhammad.
Good morning. Can you all hear me? Okay. First of all, brothers and sisters, I would like to thank our dear pastor, Pastor Brown, for inviting us here this morning to just share with you some of the things that we're going through in Chicago Public Schools, but also to solicit your support and solicit your help. So can you all please give our dear pastor a round of applause? Brothers and sisters, I've been doing this work a long time, and it's a difficult work to do. It's a thankless job that we have to do as people who serve our communities. So whenever we get an opportunity to show gratitude, we should show that gratitude to those who have and are doing this work. So as my brother shared with you, I've been in Chicago Public Schools for 25 years, working with our young people, the same young people that we talk about, that we see out on the streets with their pants sagging, right? That we say, somebody need to tell that boy to pull his pants up. It's people telling them. There are people who are telling them to pull their pants up. Somebody need to tell them that education is important. There are people that are telling them that education is important. We're right in the schools working with our children every single day. But I want to key in on something that my brother said. The thing that transforms our children, the reason that I've been able to go into all of these schools and transform the schools and change them from fights every day, which is what I saw, to no fights. And my brother hit the nail on the head. It's because I love the people who I'm going to see every single day. So, and because I'm in church, and I got to say this, as a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I would not be the person I am today if he was not my teacher and taught me how to love my people. But there's a scripture in the Bible, and I got to say this because it is Men's Day, right? And we have some strong black men here in the church, and we'll never be able to change our community. It will never change without the presence of strong black men. So in the Bible, they asked Jesus about the 10 Commandments. And they asked him which one was the greatest, right? And Jesus said, and you got to help me out, my brother. Jesus said that he would give them 2 more commandments, right? Am I right, Brother Michael? And what were those 2 commandments? To love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, right? Then he said the second one is like unto the first, right? To love your brother as you love who? As you love yourself. Then he said, on these 2 hang all the law and the prophets. So we run up and down the aisle talking about prophets, right? But Jesus said that all the law and the prophets hang on those 2 commandments, the commandments of love, right? Love God and love your brother like you love yourself. So the reason that Jesus was able to do that transformative work is not because he came with the law like Moses came, strict rules, right? Some of you have strict rules in your house with your children, right? But what's the root of that strict rule? The root of all of that, the root of don't put your hand in that socket, right? The root of watch out for this iron, the root of brush your teeth and wash your face when you wake up and get in there and take a bath. The root of all of that is what? The root of don't run in the street. The root of come in the house when the street lights come on. The root of watch out for that boy, right? The root of all of that is what? The root is love. So when we just have strong law, but we don't have love, then we don't have the transformative power to change the condition of the people. The reason that Jesus was so transformative, because the root of everything that he said was what? The root was love. The reason that we're able to go in these schools as black men, right, who are standing strong, that's the theme for today. standing strong in a system that hates black people and is working to destroy black children. The root of why Gerald Morrow was able to go into Dunbar and transform the school in a few short years. The root of why I was able to go into Douglas, which is right on the west side of Chicago, a school that was neglected by the city of Chicago. They had fights every day. The graduation rate was in the trash can. The attendance rate was in the trash can. It wasn't because I went in there with strict rules. I did go in there with strict rules. Don't get it twisted. But I wasn't just in there, oh, I'm just going to be strict on these young black children. No. The root of it was love, right? So what did Jesus say? He said that he gives you 2 new commandments. Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And the second one is like unto the first. Love your brother or your neighbor as you love yourself. So the root of what we do as men has to be rooted in love. Because Jesus said on these 2 hang all the law. So all your rules, don't cross all your rules. It is oppression if it's not rooted in love. And when I was at Julian High School, brothers and sisters, I'm not exaggerating when I tell you this. I've been at all the so-called bad schools. So-called, they're not bad. They just haven't been loved. You understand? They're not bad schools. Our children are not bad. I've been teaching them for 25 years. And the thing that's missing is love. That's what's missing. At Julian High School, which is in what they call the wild hundreds, I could stand in the hallway. I'm not in, listen, the students aren't doing what I say because I'm so big and muscular and I'm jumping at them and intimidating. That's not why they're doing what I'm saying. I could stand in the hallway, I could count down from 10, and the students would scatter in the hall and run to class and be on time. It wasn't because I came in there and I did have strict rules. Don't get that twisted. But it wasn't just that, it was the love that I had for those children. So people don't mind being obedient if what we're asking them is rooted in love. Are y'all understanding? So the reason that these black men have been able to go into these schools and transform the lives of black children is because the root of what we do is that we love these children. The reason I was able to go into juvenile detention center, where it's the real shooters and killers that are locked up. It's not, oh, maybe they're gangbangers. No, they absolutely gangbangers. You all know Danny Davis' grandson was killed, right? This was a few years ago. The young brother who killed Danny Davis' grandson was one of my students at Nancy B. Jefferson. One of my students. When you heard about the sister who shot her best friend, her uncle brought her a gun from the west side, got on the bus, and took it to the south side. She shot her friend. I know that student personally. She was one of my students at Nancy B. Jefferson. So when you hear about all of these young people doing all of this insanity in our communities, I saw them every day at Nancy B. Jefferson. And the reason that I was able to go in and we were able to put all these people together, the GDs, the BDs, the Vice Lords, the Four Corner Hustlers, the EBKs, the Latin Kings, all in the same room. And they were not fighting and killing each other, is because a person showed up and showed them the love that they had been missing. And that is what allowed me to go into these places and other principles and transform them. So what we're asking for is for you to support our expression of love of our own children. And the way that you can support that is by going on justiceforabdulmuhammad.com. On that website, you can sign the petition, make a donation, and you can email the Board of Education right on that site. Now, there's a lot of information on that site to give you more background. We won't get into all of that. But I just want you all to know that the work that is being done on your behalf right in our community is transforming the lives of black children. And there are people in CPS that do not want that work being done. There are people in Chicago that benefit when the schools are out of control, when the children are fighting in the streets, all over the country, and we're working to transform that. So I thank you all for your time. I thank you all, and I thank your dear pastor. We met yesterday, and he said, will you come to Men's Day? And I said, absolutely, I'm not even going to pass this opportunity up. The only way our community will change, brothers, the only way it will change for the better is if we stand up and be the examples of the men that we see in this church in front of the young people in our community. That's the only way it will change. So thank you all. Thank the pastor and thank Brother Troy.